Welcome back. Last week marked 2 years of the 10th Assembly under the leadership of Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio. Concerns have been raised about the relationship between the executive and the legislature, with some saying both arms of government appear to be enjoying a cordial relationship, while others appear to have labeled them a rubber stamp to the executive. The role of the legislature is to provide checks and balances, ensuring that the executive remains accountable to the people.
But has this oversight function been effectively carried out, or has the Senate under Akpabio's leadership leaned too much towards executive approval? Also, the senators, through the Senate spokesperson on Monday, condemned the killings of over 200 citizens in Yelwata, Benue, saying they were tired of embarking on condolence visits. What will the legislators do to help stop the challenges of insecurity in the country legislatively? Joining us for a one-on-one exclusive on these discussions is the spokesperson of the 10th Assembly and lawmaker representing Ekiti South Senatorial District, Senator Yemi Adaramodu. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Good morning, my dear sister. Good morning, my dear brother. And good morning to fellow Nigerians.
All right. First of all, I think we'll start by talking about the unfortunate incident that has plagued the people of Benue State and the country at large, because we're all collectively affected by this. You on Monday addressed the press sympathizing with the people of Benue State over the deadly attacks witnessed over the weekend, and that incident also prompted the president's visit to Benue yesterday. Let's talk about, the Senate's thoughts, positions, and actions to tackle the situation beyond speaking about it.
Yes, thank you very much. We have said it for the uptake time. Yes, that the program that is happening in Benue State, not only Benue, recently Plateau State, and then usually in Benue State and some areas in Savara, that and some other sporadic attacks by these terrorists, these bandits, and these dissidents all over Nigeria, that we condemn these actions terribly and thoroughly. And we assure Nigerians that beyond the issue of even paying that visit to Benue State by Mr. President and then senators, that we are dead serious in making sure that we stamp this out completely in Nigeria. We are very happy that Mr. President found it very convenient to be there yesterday, and then he engaged with the critical stakeholders after visiting the victims of the pogrom. And he told them in clear terms and assured everybody, not only in Benue but Nigeria, that yes, we are going to make sure that Nigerians can sleep with their two eyes closed, farmers can go to their farms unfettered, herders can herd their cattle unfettered. Then other people that are doing businesses, and even the ones that are not doing businesses, like children and our women, that they live a very good life, not to be feared that they are going to sleep in their houses, or they are going to fetch water, or they are going to their farms. Yes, because with this assurance and with these steps that have been taken by Mr. President and even the National Assembly, I am very sure that this will be a thing of the past very soon. And like I said, the National Assembly had already done enough and very adequate appropriation for our military, for even all the security agencies, to make sure that they carry out their own duties in making sure that they perform well, and they have been performing well, because we know that all these soft targets of some dissidents, some undesirable elements going around the farmland, the farmsteads, going to villages to go and maraud our people and mow them down. We know that because it is very difficult now for them able to face the might of the military directly as they used to be, because they too they are feeling the heat. But yes, for now we can only assure that this will be a thing of the past, and then we know that it's going to happen very, very soon. We are not going to tarry. The military has assured us, and then we are assuring the military, I mean the legislature, that anything they need from us, from our own side, and anything the executive need, any support, that we are going to give our support unfettered, not to tarry, not to waste any time, not to waste a minute, to make sure and to ensure that Nigeria becomes a very peaceful place for all of us to thrive, for all of us to live, for progress to be ascertained and to be assured to every home, to every human being in Nigeria. Either you are a Nigerian, or you are a visitor to Nigeria, or you are a guest of Nigeria, or you are a sojourner in Nigeria, or you are doing business in Nigeria. So that is where we are in the National Assembly, especially the Senate.
Senator, just to state categorically that some Nigerians currently view it that the House of Assembly is really not paying attention to the security challenges. But we do know that it's due to mixed reactions, because we've also seen videos where members of parliament have stood up, they've spoken deeply about how the insecurity is indeed on the rise. But then again, we also have members or senators representing Benue State. I mean, talk about Senator Patrick Abamoro from 2019 up until now. So he's well aware of the insecurity that has been bedeviling the state for so long, even in past administration up until now. We also have Senator Emmanuel Udende, not forgetting Senator Titus Zam, and also Senator Ojimba, and, you know, we can go on and on. You're also a senator. You sit with these fellow senators. Can you categorically tell us, I mean, honestly, does the bulk stop at just when the cameras are on and then these petitions or prayers or whatever is being put in place? But after that, do senators really sit together and take charge and say this must stop? Because Nigerians are feeling that it's just a talk shop, but it's not actually in action.
That is what I said the last time that I reacted to your questions. The national, you know, the issue of the insecurity in Nigeria, and especially Plateau, Benue, and the environs, are dated back to very long time. But this is the first time that the bulls are going to be taken by the horns. And why do I say that the bulls will be taken by the horns is that every person now, not only legislators, not only members of the executive, not even the military alone, every person now is seriously concerned. We now want to put it behind us. And the legislature has taken steps. And what are the steps that we have taken? Number one, this is the first time that a Nigerian legislation would have engaged not less than 20 times the security chiefs of Nigeria to ask questions, to suggest ways, because this cannot be done in the open. But the news are always out there that the National Assembly, not only the Senate, that is the House of Representatives inclusive, are be inviting security chiefs and be questioning them, and be asking questions from them, and be putting their feet on fire on this. And not only that, there had never been a time that the National Assembly was accused that enough appropriation has not been made for the military to make sure that they perform their duties. But we know that this is enormous, because it had been a creepy problem in Nigeria before this administration. That is two. Three, you know that just of recent, the Senate had already set up a committee that is going to organize a national security summit, whereby everybody, every stakeholders, either critical stakeholders or sundry stakeholders, that they are going to meet. All of us will talk. All of us will now provide solutions. Number one, we know that security is local too, like politics is local, because the way people will approach security in one community will be very different from the way the other community will approach it. And so it's not going to be one solution fit all solutions to Nigerian security. That's why we are calling the security summit, so that the locals can have their representation there, so that our people, either from Benue or from Plateau or from Benue or from Zamfara or even from Ekiti, everybody will just come together. Let us talk. Let us put heads together. Let us now find solutions to it, because the locals are necessary too. Our traditional institution is necessary too. Everybody must be part of it, because when we talk of criminals, the criminals live among the people. The criminals live in our environment. then it's not that for us just to bring arms and ammunition from Abuja or from Kaduna to go and do area bombing when the criminals are hiding somewhere among us. And so that is why we say we are going to hold that kind of a security summit. And this is the optimal time for us to do that. This is the right time for us to do that one. So definitely we will say that the legislature has been sleeping and that the legislature has not been doing what it should do. We don't expect the legislators to accompany the military or the police or the DSS to the battlefield and then be carrying ammunition and guns for them. So we don't expect us to do that. But what is expected of us, we have done, and then it is part of our oversight to make sure that they react and they act. So that's why we are saying that we don't want to be reacting anymore. We want to act against these miscreants. That's why we are putting all those checks in place.
With what the legislature is doing regarding Nigeria's insecurity challenges. Let's now talk about the legislature's role in checks and balances. Senator, 2 years into this 10th assembly, how would you characterize the overall relationship between the executive and the legislature? There have been public concerns about the relationship. Some have said that the legislature is, and I'm sure you're used to this phrase, rubber stamp. There are those who argue that the legislature has acted as or continues to act as an extension of the executive. So how would you analyze the relationship between the executive and the legislature?
Tell you something. This is a weather-beating and jaundiced rhetorics of some people. And I had just made up my mind not to even react anymore to this kind of all this kind of tantrum, or this kind of political razzmatazz I have. But let me just put it succinctly. Three phases of it. Number one is this: I contested on the platform of APC. My name was not even on the ballot. It is the name of my party and the symbol and the logo of my party. The president of Nigeria, including governors, and then many of us who are APC, contested the way I contested. And we had manifestos. We had projects and policies and plans and programs that we want to do if we are voted for. And then we are now voted for. And we now get to government. And just like that, pronto, you want me to turn rebellious against the policies and programs of my party so that you will not call me a rubber stamp? That is number one. That is number one. Number two, now, I want to ask a question. Has there been any law that Nigerian Senate or Nigerian House of Representatives has passed that we can say is quite unprogressive, that was occasioned by our relationship with the executive arm? I don't think there's any law that we have passed or any bill that we have introduced that is inimical to the progress of Nigeria and that can show us as an assembly that is the pocket of the executive. Number three is this. Now, when the executive brought the issue of students' education funds, so that we will not be called rubber stamp, we should reject it. When the executive brought the issue of tax reforms, whereby the low-income earners will not be paying tax, they will be exempted, so that the small-scale and medium-scale businesses can thrive in Nigeria. We say no to it because we don't want to be called rubber stamp. When the executive brought the idea of making sure that power can be generated and can be distributed by state governments, even local governments or individuals, so that this thing will not be concentrated in the hands of the federal alone. So we will now say, because we don't want to be called rubber stamp, we will reject it. When they brought the issue of minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000, 75 or 77,000 per month, we will say no to it because we don't want to be called rubber stamp. My sister, my brother, I don't know where the issue of the rubber stamp this thing comes from. And I said, maybe what those people want to say is that before any policy can become authentic, then it has to be rubber stamped. Because when you want to go and do certified true copy, if it is not stamped, then it makes it fake. So, and then to that extent, it means that the National Assembly, we have to stamp any policy, any program, any project of the other two arms of government. So to that extent, we can be talking of rubber stamping it. But besides that one, if it is to say that someone is tied to the apron string of another, then definitely that one is an hereditist rhetoric. That is ludicrous. That is very unscrupulous. So let me just take it and stop it like that.
Are we saying that there have never been a time where the executive came with maybe a bill or any action that the legislature ever saw as, we don't completely agree with this? There have been situations that have been pointed out, certain instances. For example, the state of emergency that was declared on the 18th of March, 2025. It was said that the legislature passed this with a voice vote as opposed to a head count or roll call. That was it was criticized by a number of legal practitioners, even some of the budgets that have been approved. So can you really say that there have been any situation where the legislature did not agree with the executive, or the legislature has found that every single action of the executive, has been done with due process?
Now, let me tell you, my sister, and let me just take that example of the emergency rule. We all know that in Section 305 of the Constitution of Nigeria, emergency rule is explicitly stated there, and how and why emergency rule can be imposed on any area particular in Nigeria. If it is not evident that there could be emergency rule, it will not be stated in the Constitution. And that Constitution was not promulgated or enacted by this 10th Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And by the government of President Tinubu, it had been there more than 26 years ago, even before this Fourth Republic started. So let us take it there that the planners, the makers, the promulgators of the Constitution then knew that there will be something that will occasion emergency rule. Now, like I usually say, everybody in Nigeria will go to the emotions, pull stuff from emotions, and take it to stamp it on either the executive or the legislature arm of government. And by that, everybody will now become a legislator. Everybody will now become an executive member. Now, let me tell you something. In our own rule books, and as provided for by the Constitution, when the issue of emergency rule comes to the National Assembly, it is there that you must not discuss it in the open, that it has to be in closed door, which they call executive session. And we did only that day. And now, in the executive session, whatever you do there and you agree upon cannot come to the open plenary and be debated. It is in our own rules, 134, 135, 136, and 137. It's in our own rules. Now, once we now got to the closed door, whereby the issue of security as per emergency rule was discussed, and then arguments were raised. We did not sit down for only 1 hour or 30 minutes. It took us about 3 hours. We brainstormed, we spoke, and we agreed. After agreeing, when we come back to plenary to report the progress that we have made during the closed door session, we cannot open it to debate again. And once we have agreed there, the only thing the presiding officer needed to do was to put the question to all of us, that what we agreed upon in the closed door session, is there any other person who is against it? And nobody said he was against it. So we go by the statutes, we go by the rules. But let us say that we got to the closed door session and there was no agreement. And then the presiding officer put it to us again and there was still no agreement. Then we now go into voting openly. So that was what happened. The only problem here is that people who do not read the books, who do not have are not in custody of the statutes, they are the one who will be interpreting it for us. So that's how the issue of emergency rule, I explicitly have stated it, according to the statutes. Now, the issue of even appropriation, in many cases, the National Assembly has disagreed. There have been times that they put the issue of even dollar to naira at a price, at a price that we even disagreed. There was a time they even put the issue of maybe the price of Nigerian oil per barrel at a benchmark that we even said no, and we had to bring it down so that we had to be we have to be less optimistic and be realistic, which was adhered to by the executive. There were times that, you know, in Nigeria we do envelope budgeting, and we now find out with our own experience and oversight functions that there are some ministries and some agencies of government that are very close to the grassroots, like rural electrification, rural development, food security, security itself, and healthcare and education. That we have to rejig it and call the executive to question, to take away from areas that are less needed to these critical areas which the executive adhere to. If we are doing this one, we are not going to put a megaphone. It is not a microphone democracy that we are operating. We are operating a serious democracy, mature democracy, democracy that is not a competition between the arms of government. So when we call them to order and they now call us to agreement, we are not going to start using megaphone, go to Wuse market, go to Gwagwalada market and be broadcasting it, and go to motor park and be broadcasting it, that we have won a war. It is not a war. So we are together as partners for progress of Nigeria. So if anybody is expecting the legislature to be boxing and to turn the chambers into WrestleMania arena, that one can never happen. And it will not happen in Nigeria, and it's not supposed to happen.
Okay, all right, Senator. I mean,
in Nigeria,
you just highlighted one key fact, that it is not a boxing ring. So we're going to say that the 10th Assembly is not compared to previous assemblies that we've seen in terms of when chairs are being thrown about. But there's a cause for worry, and it's very pertinent that we ask this question. The 2025 appropriation bill, of course, which needs to be sent to the president, of course, brings it to the assembly and they look at it. There seems to be some inappropriation. Let me explain further. There seems to be what many have called budget padding, and it's expected that the assembly would take some time, and especially the committees, to look into these so-called paddings, and then Nigerians have placed their hope on the assembly to pinpoint these things, highlight them, mark them off, and say, no, this cannot go. For instance, let me mention some to you, Senator. 538 boreholes going for 114.53 billion naira. I'm sure you've heard of these numbers. 561 educational projects going for 179.96 billion. And then remember the popular one, the street lights, where one will cost over 200 and something million just for one, Senator, one street light. And then the boreholes. But yet, these things are not seen by Nigerians. So,
my brother, these are fallacies. These are not true.
So these are not true. These are not true. It does not exist.
I'm a legislator. I'm a senator. This is not even my first time. I was in the House of Representatives at the 9th Assembly. When I saw that maybe statistics being read out by one innocuous NGO, I just marveled, I just smiled, I just shook my head, I just walked away. Because only the gullible can believe all these kind of things. Even when they said that 1,000 sticks of street lights will cost 300 or so billion naira, I just laughed. Like me, let me take myself as an example. The last budget, the the constituency project given to my own senatorial district to the tune of just about 225 million naira. That is the constituency project value that was given to my constituency of 6 local governments. I now took it that they should give us street lights. Out of these 225, I can tell you that we produce nothing less than 1,500 or 1,600 poles of street lights. Go and check it. Now it is physical, it is practical. You can even pick last year's budget and check it. It is there. So we had that is 1,600. When those my brothers in that NGO are now saying that 1,000 poles made provided by legislators will cost about 300 and something billion naira. I marveled. I laughed. So we should stop all this kind of falsehood. I've always been saying it. Without a parliament, there is no democracy. It is the parliament that makes democracy democracy. Now, if there is no parliament, we are now either operating oligarchy, aristocracy, plutocracy, or whatever autocracy. Now, let me go to this party. There cannot be any party because the executive will bring their budget. It is an envelope budgeting system. So there's nowhere anybody can even a cost into it. The only thing the legislators can do is to advise that instead of increasing budget in areas that are not critical, why can't you go to the areas that are critical like healthcare, delivery, education, security, humanitarian? So that's the only thing that we can do. And now, even when they give legislators the opportunity of nominating projects under this kind of a consensus project, which we call ZIP, Zonal Intervention Project, they give us forms. We fill the forms. You sign your name there. You write your constituency there. Then you submit to a constituency office. Because we have a committee in the National Assembly that is in charge of these constituency matters. So after doing that one, you do not expect a legislator that is to nominate projects worth 225 million naira to concentrate it on only one town or village. He has to share all these among the other towns and villages or local governments in that zone. So by the time you not share, now we have 469 legislators, both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Now, if I now give about 10 locations and some others give about 20 locations, when you now sum up these locations, it runs into several hundreds. That's why some of these people go and look at the value. At the value of the jobs that are even taken to these places. There are some places that we only say maybe renovation of health center, which will not cost up to 20 million. You will see all these things there because we have to share among the contesting communities in our constituency. That is about that one. You cannot pad any budget because we do not create budget. Appropriation bill is an executive bill, it's not our bill. You can only work on your own bill into your own caprices and whims. So it is the bill of the executive. What we only do there is to check and advise based on the performance of the previous budget, because that report will be submitted and we know how that budget performed. When we know how it performed, that is when we can now advise the executive. Why are you not doing it this way? Why are you not doing it that way? Well, last year, you expected that this is how much you are going to realize from oil proceeds. But this is the actual you realize. So don't be too ambitious this year. Make it so realistic. That's where we come in. So you cannot pad. Like last year, when somebody said, oh, budget was padded to the tune of 3 trillion. But at the end of the day, they now found out that the first line charge budgetary provisions for INEC, for the judiciary, for pension, for federal capital territory, and the FIRS and all others, when they put them together, that is the budget. Because they take it in a bulk and they come back to defend that budget after the main budget would have passed. So somebody just went to town and said that it was party. At the end of the day, when we all saw that it was not party, even you media guys, you do not go back to town to report to the public that you have found out that those who you call thieves are not thieves. So, but that is as it is. But there's nothing like budget party anywhere.
But it's not just us. I mean, even one of your own, Senator Digi, had raised alarm at some point talking about...
That's what I said.
Yeah,
that's what I referred to when I said last year. And he apologized.
Did he apologize?
He apologized.
Did he apologize?
He said it was very hasty. He knows estimation. He apologized.
Did he apologize because
somebody of Senator Nigi status can never apologize over something that he knew was not wrong.
Okay.
He cannot.
Did he apologize?
He has a pedigree.
Did he apologize because he genuinely believed that he was wrong, or because of the manner in which he was treated after the alarm, quote unquote, was raised?
What is the manner? What's the manner? Somebody like Senator Nigi can never be intimidated. He's not a small boy. He's not a newcomer to the National Assembly. DUB is a sixth time in the National Assembly. He had been in the House of Reps. He had been principal officer.
Okay.
He had been in the Senate. He was a principal officer.
All right. I want us to talk about another...
Even me, first timer in the Senate, cannot be intimidated to say sorry for what I know that is right.
All right, Senator, thank you for talking to us about this. But if you can, in 30 seconds, another criticism that has been leveled against the legislature is how...
The legislature, yes?
Yes, is this chanting of the campaign song, "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand." You know, what are your thoughts about that? A number of Nigerians have criticized that.
My sister.
Yes,
my sister.
Because, Senator, you're also singing that song.
And we know that you are an APC person.
Too simplistic. And don't let us be too simplistic. Don't let us be focused that we are not politicians too. We contested elections. We are political parties. When we are singing Nigerian anthem, we sang Nigerian anthem together. Then it was not only APC that made up the National Assembly. So if APC members saw their own leader come to any program, they can sing any song on their own, which has got nothing to do with the national anthem or with the national pledge So nobody was compelled to go there and sing any song to eulogize their own leader. So nobody was compared. It was not stated in the item on the item on the agenda of the day. It was not pronounced that, oh, stand up, let us sing on your mandate. It was not. It was not called by the presiding officers. It was an intuition by individual legislator. And then we are equal. So there's no legislator who will stand up in the parliament that it is Yelwata who will shout him down. So, and if I stand up and I say anything, there's no other legislator who will who will shout me down.
All right.
So that one cannot be seen as a kind of being not serious, being not doing this, being not doing that. That one does that not stop our legislative functions?
Senator Yemi Adaramodu.
So my sister, don't let us go to the pedestrian. That is very pedestrian. Talking about that one is very pedestrian. Like somebody said that when we passed the exchange of national anthem to Nigeria, we hate it. That it came with the speed of lightning.
Well, Senator
So if a bill is brought to the National Assembly and nobody is opposed to it, would we say because we don't want people to say that we are too fast, then delay it, sit down on it? That is even a soft bill. It's a soft bill. It shouldn't take so much times. Did anybody tell you that he or she raised up his or her hand in the assembly and said no to it?
Well, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, we thank you for joining us this morning. At the end of the day, the legislature, you're there as lawmakers to represent Nigerians, and you will always be put on the spotlight. So Nigerians will always ask these questions. So we thank you for coming to
we love it
to shed
because
some
we are
light.
closest to the people. We are the closest to the people. We are the parliament of the people. They are supposed to put us to task every time. They should put our feet on the fire every time.
Senator,
thank you for that
so
guarantee.
Nigerians have no option. We are the custodians of Nigerian democracy, and we must act so, and we must do so.
Okay, Senator, since you said...
And we will never be tired of doing that.
All right, Senator. Thank you so much.
And I encourage Nigerians to keep getting across to us, and we remain very accessible to them.
All right, Senator.
So we have no scruples, we have no grudges against this and about this. Even the media too should continue to put us to task, so that we will get to the end round, which might not come so easily. Like I said, that democracy is a journey. It is not a brisk destination. And in a journey, we are going to meet a lot of caravans on the way. There will be potholes, there will be corner, there will be checkpoints, there will be all these kind of things. Even at times, Marudas can even cross the road. But for you to get to your destination, that means that you are focused. So we are focused, and then I know that Nigerians are focused too. So I want to congratulate Nigerians for enjoying 26 years of unfettered democracy. So, and like I said, democracy does not mean that we will attain that utopian society that we have been praying for just within a very short while. This government has just been only 2 years in the annals of democracy of Nigeria, and we know when Nigeria has been Nigeria. So within that 2 years, this government cannot solve all the problems that we are faced with. But we know that there's progress, and then there is light at the end of the tunnel, because we can see the light.
All right, Senator, thank you for your time with us this morning. There's still areas we would have loved to cover. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but we look forward to having a part 2 of this conversation with you.
I'll come back anytime you want me.
We're holding you to that. Thank you so much for your time, Senator Yemi Adaramodu.
Thank you.